I built this dining booth myself, saving thousands compared to buying one. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, the mistakes that I made. I'll also tell you what I would do differently if I did it again. I'll share all the measurements and answer the questions I get asked the most. So if you're thinking of building a dining booth yourself, you'll have everything you need here. Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm here to help you create a beautiful home without spending a fortune. I share DIY, home styling, resets, organisation, seasonal decorating. So if that's your thing, I'd love to have you here. So let's go back to what this looked like before. We had our kitchen and dining room extension 5 years ago, and at the time when we had this part of the extension built, didn't allow the space for these stills. In my defence, we hadn't done an extension before, so I just thought this was going to be one open space. It didn't allow for what was holding up the building. And excuse the pun, I was always sitting on this idea of building a dining booth. The whole space just felt redundant, cramped, we never used, it ended up being a dumping ground. First step, inspiration. So I used ChatGPT to mock up the area. It actually looks completely different, dare I say better than the ChatGPT inspiration. I knew that was the kind of look that I was going for, and it made me really excited. I'm not one to sit on an idea. I went straight down to B&Q and I got some 2x4 timber to make the base. Now, the problem we have with this room is that it's on a wonk. Mark out where the booth needs to go. You're sitting on a chair, that's too... This is girl maths at its finest. So I've marked out roughly where the booth seats are going to go. So you can see it's not a massive space left. Hence, one of the reasons why I took the panelling off the wall rather than just going on top of it, because I literally need every single millimetre. So the base is all laid out. Some are screwed in, some aren't, because I'm going to need to lift it up and then put the upstands. So far I've used 4 pieces of 2x4 timber. Little bench update. So I've not touched this since Saturday because I was done by that point. Lots of questions about what we're going to do around the front of the radiator. So we're going to build it out, put a vent on along the top and a vent like in the middle. So it made it very, very difficult for me to fit everything in without it looking visually wonky. Got there in the end, but it did take a lot of going back. So if you've got straight walls, it will be a breeze. If you have got wonky walls, you can get around it, but there was a lot of trial and error. I cut all the timber to size, laid it all out, and then screwed it together, making it sound a lot easier than it was. Because we had the wonky wall, I went back, I unscrewed, I screwed back in, I went back a lot. Until it was kind of laid out on the floor, I couldn't really work out what I was gonna do. I would say an important thing is to kind of pick your table first, because you're gonna need that table to work out the rest of your measurements. Once the frame was in, it was then on to putting the MDF on the sides. MDF along the front, on the seating, and then we built the back at a slight angle. Very, very slight angle. We didn't want it to be dead straight. So it's on like tilt, which I did by putting a piece of wood behind. Over behind me here, we did have a radiator. We still do have a radiator. This side and the opposite side have been made differently. So the way we built out in front of the radiator, bringing the back of the booth forward slightly and then pop in some vents, got vents along the back and a vent either end just to let the hot air circulate. It hasn't affected the heat in this room whatsoever. This back here is thicker than the other side. Everyone's room is going to be different. But if you do have a radiator in the way, doesn't mean you can't do it. We did it just fine. For the base, I used 12mm MDF, and for the back, 6mm MDF. So I had the frame in place, you could really start to see it coming together. Then we went on more to the decorating part. So I wanted to use the fluted panels. These are from Panels by Sophia. I do have a discount code for those, which I'll leave in the description. I think it's Lucy10, and that will get you 10% off. So I wanted the fluted wall panelling all along the back of the wall, and then I also used it along the base of the seating. Also went a little bit extra. We added some little armrests as well. These are the same, it's Panels by Sophia moulding along the front. I have glued it together to some offcuts of MDF that we had, and then I used trim along the top. It's not big enough to put an armrest, but I just liked that finish. So rather than the wall getting scuffed up with people sitting there, just gave a little bit of extra protection because it is painted in an eggshell, so it can be wiped clean. Then I went on to the prepping and priming and sanding stage. I spent quite a lot of time priming, sanding, filling the base. Really, it was a complete waste of time. The cushions just sit on top, but I'm a perfectionist and I wanted it to look perfect. So I did spend an awful lot of time doing that, which you probably wouldn't need to even bother. These cushions haven't come off once. Why would I take them off? I use an acrylic-based primer on the MDF, and in between each coat, I lightly sanded down. That gives you a really nice smooth edge. Did the same with the panels. So all the visible bits, I spent obviously a lot longer doing that. I painted the back wall in French grey by Farrow and Ball, and it just opened up and made the area brighter. And then I painted the whole base of the Banquette seating in Dulux Brilliant White Eggshell. The wall behind me is Egyptian Cotton by Dulux. When we was adding the wall panels on, I knew I wanted wall lights. We had to measure out where they were going to go, and then Adam helped me with this part. I'm not getting into doing anything with electricity. He ran a cable and left the wire space out either side so I could put the wall sconces on to the wall. I'll leave where they're from in the description because I can't remember off the top of my head. Where this room is on a wonk, the panelling ran slightly out along the top, so I just finished it off with a little bit of a trim, act as like coving just to mask that and make it look all neat and tidy. The panelling doesn't run the whole way down. Back, it finishes just slightly underneath the back of the top of the booth. We also have a plug socket here, which is so handy for like charging phones, iPads. We have a light switch here. On to the bench cushions. So I wasn't originally going to make the bench cushions myself. I was going to buy them, but when I got a quote, it was coming close to £1,000 to £1,500, and that was going to be more than I'd spent on the whole booth. So I thought, let's set myself a challenge. I'm going to make these myself, which I did, and I'm really pleased with how they turned out. If you're making your own bench cushions, whatever you do, please go for easy clean fabric. We have had so many spills on our bench cushions. I've got a 7-year-old daughter, I've got younger nieces and nephews that are around all the time, and there has been a lot of spills. So go for an easy clean fabric. The fabric that I've got here, I will leave the colour below. I think the business isn't actually around anymore. Can't seem to find it. I'll leave the fabric colour. There's plenty of easy clean fabrics out there. Just make sure you get one because these are not cushions you can take off and pop in the wash. Also, order extra. I'm so annoyed I didn't order extra of the fabric because we've had a humongous spill of hot chocolate the other day and it has slightly stained it. I do need to give it a good steam. Order extra fabric, please. So to make the bench cushions, you have to know the size of your base before you even think, obviously, about ordering cushions. So we had all of our base in, and then I got measuring for the foam. Foam, I ordered a cut to size, but it actually turned out I got the measurements a couple of centimetres out. It's really easy to cut yourself. So I wouldn't even bother saying get ones that are already cut to size. It's really easy just to go through with a bread knife. I used the foam and then I wadding around it and carpet adhesive to stick it on the back of plywood. I used plywood because number one, it's cheaper. Two, it's thin. Didn't want to take up any extra height, adding a thick, heavier base onto the bottom of it. Once the foam was stuck to the plywood, I then started wrapping the fabric around. Now you need to do this so tight. Even if you feel like you've got it tight, do it tighter. Probably need two of you to really pull it in. Ours was really, really tight, but where I've had loads of spills and things on it, I've had a lot of scrubbing and I think I've loosened the fabric slightly. So if I was to do this again, I would get 2-3 people to really pull it in and then staple it into place. The way our bench is positioned, I didn't really have to worry too much about what the corners were looking like because all the corners were in spots you wasn't going to see. But I did work out a method of doing them really neat and tidy, folding one corner over, then the other corner, like you're wrapping a present and then stapling that down. I went well overboard with the staples as well, just so nothing did come loose. One thing I do regret with the cushions is we went a firm density of the foam. Now that worked perfectly on the bottom, but we also did the firmest that they did for the backrest. Looking back now, I wish we did something a little bit softer for the back, just to make it a bit spongy. I mean, it's very comfortable to sit at, but it's a bit, can you see? You get a bit of a shock if you sit down fast. So I would go for something a little bit softer foam for the back and a denser foam for the seating. I didn't want a squishy foam to sit on because I've worried about the fabric coming loose. And then I used Velcro strips on the back of the plywood so they are firm in place. They do come off. I'm not going to bother pulling it off. They do come off. I don't really know. They don't really need to come off. You could just glue them down, to be honest, unless you get a big spill and you need to recover. So maybe stick to Velcroing them on. This Velcro is so strong. I'll leave absolutely everything I used in the description below. Most of it was from Amazon. let's get on to measurements. As I said before, we did already have a table in mind. So this table is 76 centimetres high. The perfect clearance for legs to go underneath a table is between 25 to 35 centimetres. So our table is at 76. I built the bottom of the booth 37 centimetres, and then the cushion on top is 10. Don't forget as well, you also need to allow, so they've got the MDF there, and then to the clearance from the top of the table is 27. So you need your table to be able to work out exactly how high you want it. Wouldn't build it, then try and find a table, because then you're going to have a nightmare trying to find the right table. So find your table and work around that. That's probably the best way. The back height is 47 centimetres. This side behind the radiator, this is if you've got your own radiator, this sits at 20 centimetres forward. Over against this wall sits at 8, which does make it a little bit more complicated. So much easier if you've got the same size space, then you're not working out two different measurements. But I like to fit awkward things into small spaces. And our house, over the years, or after doing DIY, we've just realised how wonky our house actually is. No walls are straight. So the cushion depth we went for the base is 10 centimetres. And for the back cushions, these are 5 centimetres, but it then has got the plywood on the back, so that takes it to just over 6 centimetres with the wadding, with the plywood. So I'd probably go for about half the size for your back cushions than what you have got for your base. You can get like wedge cushions to use, which would have been perfect for here rather than having to worry about building it at an angle, but we were really tight for space and I didn't want our table hanging into our kitchen like our other ones was, so we strictly couldn't really go further past the depth that we used for the seating is 45, so we went 45 deep. Is perfectly comfortable. Probably the minimum amount, I'd say, any narrower than 45 for your seat depth. I use a lot of my measurements on like dining chairs before, just to see what was a comfortable height and things like that. And also use AI, use ChatGPT, use any of those AI things to find out your measurements. I'm very, very good at imagining things and building up ideas, but when it comes to measurements, straight over my head. So we did use AI for that. So if you can put your measurements into ChatGPT and then work out the best way to do it. Total dimensions of the dining room is 180 by 280. This table is from Amazon. It's in and out of stock all the time. It is very, very popular. I'm so pleased with it though. Really good quality. It's even got like finishing touches like the felt underneath. It's got a ribbed base, and I wanted oval because I wanted people to be able to swing around here without being restricted. A circular table wouldn't have worked for the shape of the booth, and a square table, it would mean that someone was sitting on a corner. So the fact that it's round there still allows someone to sit in this corner and eat comfortably. And also we've got the option of adding some chairs along here as well. I hope you found this video helpful if you're planning on building your own dining booth. It was honestly the best decision we made for this space. It makes our home feel so much more homely. It makes our kitchen make complete sense and flow the whole way through. I make videos like this all the time. I'm always up to DIY and home improvements, buying things, styling things, seasonal styling. If you love my kind of style and you love my ideas, please consider subscribing, like this video. I hope it's filled you with some inspiration and confidence to do this yourself. See you again next week. Bye.